everybody. Today we are going to make a very typical Parsi style Khara Goshtni biryani. Kharu Gosht is one of the most typical of Parsi preparations. Very simple. Mothers start cooking it for their children when they're very young. It's not hot, it's not very spicy, it's just something nice and lush. And we are going to make that into a biryani today. For the biryani, because we got rice and other things in it, I am going to add a little bit more red chilies than we normally do. So let me run you through my ingredients today. Okay. So what I have here, I've got broken red chili, whole red chili. I've got cassia bark. This is not cinnamon, that's cassia bark. I've got 3 cardamom there. And ideally we break the cardamom down just so it does not splutter in the oil. Cloves, 3 cloves. In this bowl I've got turmeric, coriander and cumin. The reason is I'm going to put water and mix it down before I pour it afterwards into the food. Ginger garlic paste, chopped onions here, the lamb which is fully cleaned. If you look at the lamb now, the least amount of fat, gristle, sinews is what makes Indian food better. You leave fat on, gristle on, sinews on, they react with the turmeric and other spices and they give off a foul smell. We just don't want the foul smell. So what I have here now is not fully cooked rice, but it's just half to 3/4 done basmati rice, which is going to form the layers. Over here, I've got some potatoes which have been shallow fried to get a light color. What we did was, when we boil the rice, we add a couple of bay leaves into the rice, fresh bay leaves into the rice for flavor. The water is collected. We strain the water off. In that same water, I boil the potatoes. After boiling the potatoes, that water is set aside. Later on, we'll make a soup with the potato skins and other trimmings. And just here to finish off in the end, I've got some pulp tomato and I've got saffron water. Saffron water is only in the end, so I'll cover this up and put it away for now. And I'm going to start actually prepping. So in the oil here, which is hot, I'm going to add my spices. And I'm going to add the just the cassia bark, the cloves and the cardamom. Now, if you make it too hot, they'll burn instantly. But the main thing to come to know your spices are cooked is when a clove starts to puff up like that. When the clove puffs up, it's absorbed the oil from the pan, which makes it ready now for stage 2, in which case I'm going to add my red chilies in and start to get them slightly colored. And you don't let the chilies get black, you just get them slightly colored. They start imparting their flavor into the oil and into the whole mix of things. There are no green there. I can get the smell, you can't. And then in go my chopped onions.
How many onions did you use?
I took 1.5 onion really. I'm going to save it for something else. I had 1 medium size and 1 small onion half I took. Because we need to form a gravy, we need a sauce, and onions will actually help form that sauce nicely. So what we do with these powders, we add a bit of water and we mix the powders in. Now, most people would not do that. Many Indians will not believe in this, but what is happening here now, by making this sort of a water place, I'm actually expanding my powders now. They are going to get absorbed with the water. That means their flavors are going to get more pronounced. Also, when I add it straight into a hot pan where there is oil inside, the oil smothers them. And once they are smothered, they give less flavor than they would if you put it into water. And then let it dry out inside the dish, because it allows the gravy to form better, and it also keeps them more tasty. Okay. In here now, while the onions are sauteing, I'm going to put my ginger and garlic paste. Okay. This is half ginger, half garlic, pureed with a bit of water and some oil. The oil prevents the paste from becoming oxidized, and this we keep in the house. Most Indian families will have some in the house.
Which he has finished now.
So I've used up all yours, but I'll make some more for you later, madam. Please don't fret. Do not worry. The onions seemed like a lot in the bowl, but because there's lots of water in onions, it's been cooked down to nothing. Now when you see things stuck at the bottom, all you do is clean one of your pans and add a bit more water into it. So this was of course the water from the ginger and garlic bowl. So I just cooked it down just so that it cooks down. Yeah. Now in there, I'm going to now add my 3 powders, as you see. This is turmeric, coriander and cumin. This goes in and we'll let it cook into the masala for a couple of minutes till it starts to come to all come together. And we will then add the lamb and we shall brown the lamb nicely in it.
Do you wait for the oil to be released from the spices so that it shows that it's cooked?
Exactly what I will come to now, because what the main important thing, and thank you for bringing this up, is that at the moment there's a lot of water in there. But even so, when a masala cooks and the onions are cooked, the ginger is cooked, the garlic is cooked, the powders are cooked, the oil starts to ooze out again because the moisture is now absorbed and it's not taking in any more moisture, so it's releasing the oil from the masala. When the oil is released, you know that your masala is cooked. Very, very important, especially when you're using a lot of chili in there. There is no chili powder in there, so it is less important, but still it will not feel nice on the palate. And when there's chili in there, it will burn your throat. So you make sure when the oil is released, you know your chili is cooked well. And then you can keep adding water, moisture, liquid. It will keep absorbing and giving off flavor. You cannot smell this. It smells awesome over here. I was about to say awful again by mistake. Yeah. But we'll just show it to them in a second where the masala is. And after that, we will come back to you only when we are assembling the biryani. Okay. So this, after the lamb is browned, we are going to seal the pot, cook it gently. When the lamb is just more than half cooked roughly, I'm going to put the tomato inside. In Indian cooking, we believe that we don't add tomatoes from the beginning, as the acid in the tomato makes the lamb tough and it takes longer to cook. So once the lamb is half cooked, the ascorbic acid or whatever acid is there in the tomato will not have as much effect, and it will let the lamb cook gently and softly. Okay. So now, as you see, the oil is coming out at the bottom. You can see the oil is being released. Our masala has come together very, very nicely. Okay. As soon as the oil is released, we know now we can saute the lamb as well. So now the lamb will brown nicely. If you add it while there's too much water, the lamb will start giving off a lot of water itself.
And the flame should be high at this time?
High at this time, because we need to seal the lamb. We need to seal the lamb. I'm going to let the lamb brown. Once the lamb is a bit more browned, we'll add some water inside, and we are going to put a lid, inverted lid on top, and over here we'll fill some water. Just going back to Mum's style of cooking, she did that very effectively by turning the lid upside down and putting water inside. She had access to hot water when she wanted to keep on deglazing the pan. If the pan was catching, if the meat was catching, she deglaze it. Also, with the weight of the water, it creates pressure on the pan below, and that helps in the cooking process.
My mom also did the same thing.
Yeah, I think
it was their generation.
Yeah, but it was so clever. Right, madam. I'm going to put some water in there.
Then when will you add the tomato passata?
Tomato passata only after the lamb is half cooked.
Okay.
So here we go, some water, some salt, of course, the lid upside down. I'm going to pour some water inside the lid.
And are you going to make the fire slow now?
I'm going to reduce the heat as well. So lamb is about half cooked. Okay, this is not the best way to check. Pull it out and just try and break a piece. If it goes like that, you can run your hand through it. It's half cooked.
Or you can do it with a spoon.
You can do it with a spoon, you can do it with a knife.
You have asbestos fingers.
Okay. So now I'm going to add the tomato inside and let it cook. Yeah. Just add a bit of water to drain it out. And that's the tomato gone in. So I'm going to cover it up again. See, our water on the top is nice and hot. And we'll use it again later. So our lamb is now cooked and ready. It's tasting awesome. I'm going to put some chopped coriander inside. We Parsis love coriander, but I love it even more. Okay, so here goes. That's the lamb now ready. I've got my little pot ready here, which will go into the oven. The oven is on at 120, 130 degrees, just about there. Just about little 120, more or less 120, 130. Because we need it to heat through and cook through nicely. And we'll show you what it turns out like afterwards. So, a bit of rice at the bottom.
You're going to make it into layers?
I am putting layers, yeah. So, a bit of rice at the bottom.
Yeah.
Then we'll put some lamb at the bottom. So, just spread the lamb out nicely. Like so.
If people like me who do not like the garam masala, is there any other way?
You can take your whole spices out after frying them.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is to put them in like a bouquet garni.
Yeah. Okay. What about the potatoes?
The potatoes I'm putting now. I know you love your potatoes.
Yeah. You can even put boiled egg. No?
Yeah,
garnish.
we put boiled egg on the top normally. You know, Parsis will not eat it without their boiled egg, as you know.
Yeah.
So here goes some more lamb with the sauce. But look at the gravy. The sauce is beautiful. That's what you're looking for. A nice...
wet.
Yeah, not too wet, but nice thick sauce like that. Okay. And then we put the rest of the rice on top.
How much rice did you cook?
I took 200 grams of rice. Exactly 200 grams of rice. And we had about 250 grams of and that's saffron.
Yeah.
So what's gone there is I just warmed the saffron just slightly. I crumbled it and I just put cold water and left it to infuse, and that's comes out really nice. And then all you do is drizzle the saffron water over the top. You cover your pot tight. You can put browned onions on the top, which we normally do. You can put more rice on the top, but I think we've got just as a good border. And then into the oven it goes. That's it. Leave it there for about... Everything is still warm except the rice. The rice is cold, but the lamb is warm, so it shouldn't take about more than half an hour, 40 minutes to get heat through very nicely. By that time, in that slow heat, the lamb will cook perfectly. The rice will get cooked further. And we should have a perfect balance. Fingers crossed, hopefully. Thank you. So shall we take the pot out of the oven, madam? Let's see if it is done. And we get this lovely aroma. The color is really nice on the top.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Nice and hot. Is there enough for us to eat for lunch, madam?
Yes,
Shall I leave the rest in the pot?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Enough potatoes for you?
Yes, thank you.
I'll put one more for you there.
Guys, this is our Kharu Gosht
No palau.
No Palau. And we are going to enjoy it. Thank you.